How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty well. So, about, I don't know, a couple days ago, I was in a hotel room in upstate New York. I was doing a steel mill gig, and it was just one of those nights where, old war injuries made up with really crappy hotel beds that are too short for me. I couldn't sleep. I was really, really struggling. So usually when that happens, I just kind of plug in my one hearing aid and I turn on my phone, like wake it up, and I take it to YouTube, and I try to find a live stream that I'm not very interested in, and I just hear droning, and it helps me fall asleep. And I think it was like the second or third attempt, because a lot of really late night live streams feature an anime character that's screaming while it's playing a video game, which doesn't help me sleep at all. I ended up stumbling on this gentleman, Coach Eli, and this, I guess, is his second channel that I stumbled upon. So I think I was watching it for like, I don't know, 10 seconds, and I commented something like evening, and then I immediately commented, what's this love stream about? And I meant to say live stream. I was half asleep. My phone auto-corrected. And the chat seemed like it was really, really absolutely dead. Like, it was just like bots telling people to donate them money. And he immediately reacted to my comment. I'm like, so who's this Mr. Smith or something? And he must have went to my YouTube channel. And I have the YouTube descriptor of me where it's something like just some random internet idiot or something, or idiot on the internet. And this caused him to start doing a rant about trolls and stuff, which I really wasn't meaning to cause. And I tried to immediately comment, like, hey, man, I didn't mean nothing but commenting. You have a good night. And before I could, I was already blocked. And he kind of ranted at me for like, I don't know, like 5 minutes. So I moved on to the next YouTube channel, next live stream. Eventually I found one where it was like some history nerd talking about the Prussian wars of whatever the hell. And that helped me just fall asleep, because I just kind of zoned out listening to a guy drone. But I woke up the next day, and I'm eating my crappy hotel breakfast of oatmeal and a banana, drinking a cup of coffee, and I'm like, did that really happen, or was that a fever dream kind of thing? And checked on my phone. I looked up my watch history, and yeah, there was this Coach Eli stream. And I screwed around with it real quick until I could, because he has a green screen showing the comments, and I found my comment on behind him. And yeah, it did happen. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's the deal here? Because the gentleman has clearly invested a lot of time and money into his channel. I mean, he's got a tremendous amount of content, and the microphone he's using is like a high-end microphone. I don't know the exact microphone it is, but it ain't a cheap microphone. And like chat was completely dead, so I figured I don't know. I wasn't gonna like have a full-on conversation, but I certainly didn't expect him to kind of flip out at me. And it was one of those things that kind of, I scratched an itch, and I wanted to figure out more of what's going on, kind of thing. Because you could obviously tell he must get messed with all the time. Excuse me, with trolls and stuff. But it's like, what's the deal here? Like, what did I do so wrong? So I started looking up more and more of his content and just picking random live streams that he did in the past while I was doing other work, and I'm kind of listening through the hearing aid while I'm working on a computer and stuff. And because it's just so jarring, because he clearly is interested in having a career on YouTube. He's got so much stuff. But then when you look at the numbers, these numbers like never seem to crack above 300. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to invest all this. And apparently the only people that mess with him are trolls. So I started watching some of his stuff, and he's an interesting fella, to say the least. Um, he's a life coach, which in my experience basically means someone that wants to be a therapist but doesn't want to go to school or deal with licensing. And he's in a relationship with a woman that he refers to as Milady, which I've never heard of anyone actually using that term unironically. And it's pretty clear that Milady has a severe issue with alcoholism, like to the point where she's regularly having seizures. And in my own case, it only took one alcohol withdrawal seizure for me to end up in rehab. I can't imagine having them on a regular basis, kind of thing. And he's got a live stream, kind of like where I got my counter or my pointer at. I'm not exactly sure if that's the one, where he's like walking through what looks like a field with a chinchilla attached to his face. And he's very angry and animated because Milady's daughter and Milady's daughter's fiance have basically told Eli, stop contacting us. Now, from experience, personal experience, unfortunately, I get the very distinct impression that they have staged an intervention with Milady, saying, we're not going to support you in your path of consuming large amounts of alcohol and killing yourself with alcohol. You're either going to treatment or we're cutting you out of our lives. And I think that's what they've done. And I don't think Milady's in any way, shape, or form to make any kind of income. And so I think Milady has now had to move in with Coach Eli. And Coach Eli drops hints and all that he cares about Milady and he wants to get her into drug treatment. Only he has to find a drug treatment facility within his neighborhood that he can go and visit her every single day. That's, of course, not how rehab works. Even in my own situation, where I have a very great relationship with my wife, she sure as hell was not responsible for my out of control PTSD that was feeding my alcoholism. I was not allowed to have regular contact with my wife, like face-to-face contact. No. I could call her up on the phone, and I had to call her up on the phone while I was standing in an office of the rehab coordinator's office so he could effectively monitor our conversation over the phone. Because when you go into rehab, it's sort of like going into basic training in the military. They separate you from your friends and your family. They force you to learn a new lingo. They isolate you and they try to shatter your ego because they have to teach you how to live without the crutch that you've been abusing for all these years. So it really comes out to me, at least, that Coach Eli is intentionally sabotaging any attempt of her family to try to get her help. I have seen this so many times. I had a young Marine, ex-Marine, struggling severely with alcoholism. Mother gives me a sob story about how we need to get him help. He's out of control. All he does is drink, and he's starting to get violent. I'm scared of him. And this is like a Wednesday. And I talked to her over the phone, and I was like, look, we can schedule this. We'll get him into rehab Friday morning. We're going to stage an intervention. We have to have hard and fast. We are basically saying, this is the line. Don't cross this line. If you cross the line, there's clear consequences. I even talked to her the whole process of effectively evicting him out of her house. So on. And the whole thing is you've got to present a unified front. This is what my family did to me. 10 minutes later, after I get off the phone with her, her son is calling me up drunk, angry, threatening to shoot me in the face if I show up at her house, because that's where he's living. He's not able to live on his own. Mom had told son about our planned intervention. So once I got off the phone with him, which was essentially I just hung up on him after I got sick of him cussing me out, I called her up and I basically asked her, what the hell was that? She goes, what do you mean? I was like, why did you tell your son about the intervention? Why did you sabotage this? And she said, without skipping a beat, I'm not letting you take my son away from me. And I told her the truth. I cannot help your son. I cannot help you. It's a waste of my time. I want to help your son, but unless both you and him are willing to get sober and to help him on his path, your son has maybe 3 to 4 years left. He ended up committing suicide a year later. There's nothing I could do. I see the same parallels going on with this Coach Eli guy, a gentleman who tries to convince people to give him money as a life coach. And again, people who are life coaches are individuals that want to be therapists, but they don't want to get a degree or to get certified. It's been a really dark rabbit hole that I've went down over the last couple of days because this guy comes off as extremely manipulative, extremely destructive. The information that he has unintentionally shared I don't think he quite understands how bad it makes him look. And frankly, I don't think he cares. I think if he ever figures out this, or he finds out about this video, he'll immediately try to strike it down. Even though I am telling people not to mess with him, I'm telling people that I'm not trying to mock him or anything like that. I think it's a very sad, destructive, sad situation. And this is one of the big reasons why you don't want to go to YouTube or the internet in general, share your entire life, look for validation on the internet, and then expect to get good help. This guy has no incentive to get help to the people currently in his life, let alone give good, actionable advice to people that are paying him. I'm not trying to sound aggressive or mean or nasty, but it's people like this, these enablers that I run into way too many of them. Way too many of them. I personally think that his old lady is not going to survive 3 years from now. I think it could be tomorrow, it could be 3 years from now, but eventually she's going to succumb to her alcoholism. I think this guy's in for a real rude awakening. If he thinks her family doesn't like him now, wait until he sees how badly they can mess with him. I'm talking wrongful death suits and so on. It's a big difference between Appalachia, where I'm based in, and Southern California. Southern California, it's a hell zone. It's a terrible place. There's a reason why Hollywood is based there. God, every time I've done a job in Southern California, it's the wackiest place. Place. It's like every single person in Southern California comes off as a sociopath to me. In Appalachia, this kind of situation, if Coach Eli was trying to pull the same thing, her family would be like, you know what, Eli, we got off on the wrong foot. We really got on the wrong foot. How about we go up to the holla and we'll just go ahead. We'll go hunting. You like deer hunting? I'll be like, I've never deer hunted before. That's fine. I'll bring the gun. And then there's, missing persons that nobody looks too deeply into, and it turns out that Eli, for some reason, fell down a mine shaft 3 times. But I don't know. It's just I feel really bad for the daughter and the fiance. Apparently, in the video that he was ranting about both of them, the live stream, like he has one point where he's ranting about the potential son-in-law, good God, where the guy basically said, stop contacting me and her at work. I will file, a restraining order against you. And Eli goes, he doesn't know anything about a restraining order. He says something along the lines of, he doesn't know anything about restraining orders. I know about restraining orders. And it's like, you know about restraining orders, Eli? Have you had a lot of restraining orders made against you? Like, are there coffee bars and bookstores and stuff that you're not allowed to go to? Is this why you have a real problem with younger women? That you think they're all stuck up and stuff? Like, He's a guy that shares way too much information, and it's just, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm glad that nobody in my family is dealing with somebody like him. And again, it's fascinating. This guy is a self-prescribed life coach. This is amazing though, because all I did was I said to him, "Evening, what's this live stream about?" And it took me down this crazy, bizarro, dark hole of this guy is a nut. He's a nut. But I digress. I hope everyone's having a good time or a good night. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not encouraging anyone to mess with this guy. This will probably be the one and only video I ever make of him. It's just something I stumbled upon. There's some real monsters on the internet. So y'all take care. Ciao.